So the three things that I think our husbands really need, and these are activities. I'm not talking about our love or our love languages or our other ways, personalities at this point. I'm talking about actual activities in this regard, how we're considering it. I think our husbands really need three things from us. If you ask your husband this question, what does he need from you as a wife? He may tell you these, or he may tell you something else. But these are the three I found out that most guys want. First off is they want sex. I know gals, you go, I'm too tired, I'm too exhausted, I don't feel like it, I'm not in the mood, wham, 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 wham. I just recently talked to a lady, another client of mine, and she said that her romantic life, is the way she called it, was getting so much better. I said, well, how did that happen? She said, I decided I was going to obey him. I said, really? I mean, she's a retired wife. And I said, so what does that involve? And she has adult children. They're all away from home. What does this involve at this point in life? She said, it meant I need to be ready for having sex. I need to be able to say yes to my husband more often. Go back and look at 1 Corinthians chapter 7 if you want to know about that one. It really is true. God says we are to not deny each other of sexual intimacy except for a time of prayer. So that's a big one to figure. How do we make sure we have time for sex with our husbands? Second thing is I think is so important is that we keep our relationship together by doing fun activities. I call this dating. Date your mate. And yes, they may not be big things, and maybe you don't have money for going out, money for sitters. I understand. Most of our dates were at home or while the kids were busy doing something else, maybe sleeping, maybe watching a movie. And as we had time or as they got older, we were able to get out of the house. Yes, we did a few, and we saved up money, put dating our husband in a budget. One way you can keep your husband a priority, making time for sex, putting money in the budget for your sex, for not for sex. You can do that too if you want. But anyway, just have special clothes, decorate your bedroom, fresh sheets, clean sheets, cancel candles, all those special things that make a room romantic. But set aside some money for dates. When we first got married, we had our date budget, and it was very, very small. I think it was $5 a month, and it was 42 years ago. Remember? Okay, so that we go a little bit further now, but we try to spend it very judiciously and space it out through the month. And we tried to make sure that at least one day a month we saved up enough money to go down to the Dairy Queen or down to the ice cream barn where they made fresh homemade ice cream. When we didn't save it so well, we'd go down to the Dairy Queen and we get dilly bars. I don't know if you can still get those, but we get dilly bars. They were only 35 cents a piece. But that was a date. We'd walk down there, we'd get our dilly bars, and we'd walk home. When we had a little more money and we had a car, then we'd drive out to the ice cream barn and get that fresh scoop of ice cream, of that homemade ice cream. Something simple. This gal that was working a whole lot and had the handicap, she decided that she wanted to have root beer floats ready at the house. So she had their favorite kind of root beer, and she had ice cream in the freezer. And so she planned on one night. Maybe she planned the date for Friday night, but he had to work late, so she'd move it to Saturday night. And if they were still working late, she'd move it to Sunday afternoon. So dates have to be moved around, but planning time to do something fun together. Alternate. We don't like the same stuff. Do some of his stuff. Do some of your stuff. Alternate. Do things find things, try new things. Go back to things you did when you were dating. I've got lots of talks on dating your mate because it's so important. Because it does two things. One is it gets you to focus on each other alone, and you set aside time. Yes, maybe you can't keep a regular date night, but move it around. Make it a breakfast date. Make it donut dates. Maybe it's regularly Friday nights and we have to go out for Thursday morning donut. That happened just this month because the weekend was so busy. At one point when my husband had to have military duty over the weekend or on a night and we didn't have a date, I'd go get pizza and he had to be in his office cubicle, but he could open up the window and the kids and I sat out in the hall. I don't know if they'd let us do that anymore, but that's what we did then. Or maybe he could get off for just a little while and we'd go over and sit at the bowling alley, which was an easy distance to where he was working. He could have a half an hour dinner break. So we get some time together. Yes, sometimes it has to be with the kids, but more often than not, we figured out how to have time alone. So time alone, doing something fun, talking about something other than your work or the kids, if the kids are your work. But continuing to keep that relationship, that friendship alive. Because it's in that connectedness, that friendship, that when you get to that 20-year point or that 25-year point in your marriage and you look at him and you go, I still like that guy. If not, you may wake up one day and the kids are gone and you go, who's this in bed with me? I don't know this person. And it may be true. You don't know it. But don't give up. You can get it back. You can start dating again. Yes, dating doesn't have to be fancy, but it does keep your relationship. So includes, but he says, but he doesn't want to date. Well, most guys will date if they know that before, after, the next morning, the morning before, they're going to get sex. Yes, that's it. That's often the key for men to get me else. I wanted to have a date. Say, well, I'll take her out to dinner if I get to have some sex. I'll watch a movie with her if I get to have sex. It's like, say, okay. But what is it? It's a two-way relationship. Most women want romance, and that usually means talking and doing fun things together. The men end up liking it because they get to talk to her and they get to know each other. And then because we feel romantic, we also get in the mood for sex. So dating is important. Sex is number one, usually on a guy's list. Second is once they know about the benefits of dating, doing fun things together. Maybe you go hiking in the woods. Maybe you go, one gal decided to go to a gun show with her husband. She didn't particularly like guns, but she said there was a lot of interesting people at the gun show, and her husband was absolutely thrilled that she went to the gun show with him. So I don't know what it is he likes, but join him in doing something he likes and try to do some things you like too. The third thing is, in supporting your husband above the kids, is that you try to support his activities. For many years, my husband was a military man, and he wanted me to support him in going to military functions. And we've been married about 20 years, and we were living in Germany at the time on a NATO base. And when we sat there, he one day came into the kitchen and he said, I'm going to have to get out of the military. And I said, why that? I said, I've been traveling with you all around the world. How come you're going to have to get out of the military? He said, well, you're not supporting my career. I said, but I've moved here and here and here and here. I'm taking care of the kids while you're gone. I'm doing this, I'm doing this, and I'm doing that. You know what he said? He said, but when I ask you to go to something with me, you say no. I said, well, you asked me. You said, do I want to go to X, Y, or Z activity? And I said, no, I really didn't. He said, I'm not asking if you want to go to the thing. I'm asking you, will you go be with me? I said, oh, that's a very different question. Do I want to be with him? Yes, I want to be with him and support him at the thing. And as I went, I got to know a few ladies, and I learned also how to have conversations in places where I wasn't feeling comfortable. And it was a learned skill. But my husband wanted me to support his military career by standing alongside him at various functions. We did have to figure out and get that down to a reasonable number that I thought I could do and that would meet his needs at the same time. So we had to discuss it. Another woman said that this is one of the ones whose husband was gone, only came home on the weekends. He wasn't really into going to church. She was, so we had to figure out a time where she could go to church. But he wanted to go out on the boat every Sunday. So I said, well, let's figure out another time you can get together in a women's Bible study or go to church on a weeknight or do a ladies' Bible study in the morning or get together with a friend over coffee and have prayer time. So we figured that out for her. And I said, go support your husband with the boat. And they did. And they ended up having great family time because he didn't come home till late Friday night and usually had to leave early on Sunday evening. But they figured out how to support her husband. And did it improve her marriage? Yes, it did. The gal who ended up making the root beer floats found out that her husband started coming up with fun things to do too, and they started enjoying time together. They stopped yelling at each other. They started listening to each other. They started getting along. My husband decided to spend another 10 years, plus 10, 12 years in the military after that time, where we thought he was going to have to get out, because I decided, oh, this is the way I could support my husband. Maybe your husband wants you to come out and watch him work on the car. That might be his thing. Maybe he wants you to come to his basketball games. Maybe he wants you to take care of the kids so he can go on a hunting trip every fall to go deer hunting or duck hunting or whatever kind of hunting he wants to do. Maybe he wants you to come watch him at a race. My husband used to like to run races, bicycle races. Running races was his favorite, but he did some mini triathlete things too. What does your husband want you to do? Can you meet his needs? Now, how does this work? Here's one of the simple ways I figured this out. When I wanted to make my husband a higher priority to the kids, and that meant I had to put on the calendar time for a date, and I had to figure out what we could do in case he didn't come up with any ideas. And most of the time, gals, wives, we have to do that. That might be to have your favorite drink and chocolate in the house for watching a movie together. And you set aside, you get the kids to bed in time. I had to make sure that I was rested enough that when he wanted sex, that I was available. And I found out when I started thinking about it and putting it on the calendar, lo and behold, I could get in the mood too. And it became life was more fun. Actually, that one retired wife that said that when she started doing what her husband I wanted her to do, saying yes, being more obedient, paying more, that she said, he's happier and I am so much happier too. It's amazing. And I'm getting my head so clear also about these decisions I want to make about the church and how I'm serving there. Her thoughts just cleared up. Why? Because there wasn't this stress and tension between them. So what about the little kids? Well, one of my good friends, Lori, who helps me a lot with my social media, um, she says that they taught their kids to stay in the bedrooms on, I don't know what night it was, a certain night of the week when they had their date, and they could play games or they could do whatever they wanted to. But that was mom and daddy's time after dinner, say on Friday night, and they had 2 hours that they had alone. And the kids knew that they had to stay there, and they did. They taught them how to do that. Maybe your kids won't do that. You can teach them. Kids learn. My kids won't. Well, you can teach them if you want. I know you say that Joyce is sassy, but it's true. Most kids will learn. So that's how we keep our husband a priority. Here's one other way I did it. I watch couples at church, and when you want to keep your marriage strong, it's remember he is first and not the kids. And this is just a little tiny thing. But it really does show that. If you're going to church, and there's four of you, let me see if I can get 4 of us going to church here, 4 of us going to church. You could put the kids on one in the middle and one on either, like this, okay? And put the kids there like that. I suggest that husband and wife sit together and put the kids on either side. This keeps the two of you united, and then the kids are there to be taken care of, both mom and dad. You're there to take care of them. Otherwise, I watch a daughter come and slip in between the husband and the wife. Maybe it's a teenage daughter, and she's talking to her mom the whole time. And the dad's sitting over there like, good. But when the husband and the wife sit together, I watch at church. I have to sit in the back a lot because of some neck issues I have. But I watch a lot at church. When the husband and wife sit together, it's very interesting how much more attention the husband pays to the pastor when he's preaching. I don't know. I haven't done a study on that. I've just my personal observations. But when we do that, we put the two of us together and then the children on the outside. Yes, sometimes they have to crawl in the lap. And yes, sometimes one had to hold that one. They were rambunctious little boys, as I've said. But we tried to put each other together. We sit together at the table and put the kids on the outside. Think of these little ways, how you can keep your husband a priority. What can you do? It comes from, first off, making sure he's on your calendar. That's why I include date time on the calendar. It means I've set aside 2 hours a week to spend with my husband. I try to make sure that I have most of my work activities done by dinner time. So after the dinner dishes, I'm done. And even once the kids left home, I've had to really pay attention to that one. Because if not, my work started creeping into the evening and more into the evening. And I really wanted to be relaxed and ready to spend time with my husband, whether we're just sitting watching a TV show. Maybe I'm sitting there just relaxing like it was last night, watching something fun for me, and he was off getting some work done because he'd been busy all day. But I was then in a much better mood by the time I'd spent a couple hours alone. Well, alone, me and the TV. I don't know what you need to do, but make your husband a priority. What can you do? Here's one other way. When the kids want your attention, mommy, 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 daddy, daddy, daddy. First off, don't let them come between you. Go into a room by yourselves and solve the arguments. And then come back out to the kids and present a unified front. The kids will try to split you apart. Believe me, they do it. I don't know. I think it's ingrained in them. Like they'll just try to put, mommy said, but daddy said, and try to put you two against each other. So the two of you go make decisions together and then come back to the kids. This is Joyce Zook, the Practical Christian Woman, helping you love your life, love your marriage, as we talk about how priorities help us keep our marriages strong today. God bless you, and we'll see you again next time.